I am now in the Sumter Cemetery, Sumter City Cemetery. Again, no notes. Going by this. Might not be a good idea. Anyway, George Edward Haynesworth, who was born in 1841 and died in 1887. Mr. Haynesworth was the first person to fire a shot in the Civil War. He fired across the bow of a ship that was on its way to the Charleston Harbor. It's kind of a warning shot. He was with school at the time, Citadel. Anyway, so he was the first one to fire the shot. He was a very distinguished man. Came once the war was over, came back home, become a lawyer, charitable. Everybody loved him, and very well thought of. And as you see, he died in 1887. He died kind of young. He was a constable. He had some people in his office. He was trying to settle a dispute. Well, one of them started shooting at the other. He got caught in the crossfire and got killed. The odd thing about that is, in both instances, the war and the thing that took place in his chambers, is he hated war. He was a man of peace. He hated violence. He despised anything that would break the peace. And so it was just ironic that he was the first one to fire a shot in the Civil War, and he died in his courtroom trying to settle difference between disputing parties. Lieutenant William Alexander McQueen. He has 2 tombstones. Let me see if I can better position this camera a little bit at least. Now, the deal with McQueen is that he was in several, it's listed on the sides of that stone there, the different battles he was in. He was in several battles in which thousands and thousands and thousands of people got killed. He was injured 3 times total, never got killed in those battles. However, in the battle at Dingle's Mill, outside of Sumter, the one from which Lieutenant Pampier was also killed, he was killed. He was actually at home getting over being injured for the third time I might say. And like I said, the Union troops were coming through. Well, he was one of the people that gathered people together to go fight them. He died early in the battle. Took a cannonball right there. Instant death. The interesting thing about Mr. McQueen also is his dad was the longest serving pastor of what is now the First Presbyterian Church downtown. His dad served for 40 years. So anyway, he died in a battle in which 120, no, let me back off. He died in a battle in which 26 people died. Not a battle of those that he took place in which thousands and thousands and thousands died. Man, let's talk about some irony there. Whew, I found the sun, my goodness. Anyway, I'm not even sure you can see me or what you can see. I tried to set it up to where you could see everything you need to. Who doesn't like college football, right? How about the Gamecocks? Okay, keep your boos and hisses to yourself. Anyway, Williams-Brice Stadium was paid for initially by Mr. and Mrs. Williams and Brice. Now, that's Martha Williams Brice, and I think that's the grave of her dad, O.L. Williams. Anyway, Williams Brice, they were a couple of very much many means money. I don't remember how he made, remember, no notes. I don't remember how he made his money, but she got hers from being the heiress to him, who was a timber heir. He was a man that made money off timber. He owned a furniture factory that was in full operation until just a few years ago here in Sumter. And it's not only is it not in good repair, it's fallen down now. But anyway, when they died in the late 1960s, as part of their fortune, they wanted Williams-Brice Stadium built, which is now the football stadium. Now, I forget how many millions it was, but compared to what it takes now to build a stadium, it would barely build a concession stand. But back then, it was a really big deal. Anyway, Williams Brice, right here. Dr. Archie China, buried here in 1924, born in 1864. So, this is a very interesting and intriguing story, and probably one of them that got the most hits on my videos I've made that was dedicated to this story. No notes, okay? So, it's going to be quick. His wife killed him. Now, he was a doctor, and his wife killed him because he was accused of adultery. Now, from the stories I read, oh, by the way, what makes this really interesting is she died a week later. And when I highlight her grave marker, which is over there, I'll talk about her death more. So anyway, he locked her out of the house. They got an argument over this nurse, who, by the way, I've seen a picture of, and she lived to be a very old lady, ended up moving back to, I think it's Virginia, in her retirement years, where she came from. But anyway, his wife accused him of fooling around. They got in an argument. He locked her out of the house, and it was cold. January. It was cold. And she ended up going next door, getting a gun out of the neighbor's shed that she had hid there, if I remember my stuff correctly. And they came back and shot him. Shot him twice, as a matter of fact. And then when the body was discovered, first they found her supposedly passed out, and then they found him in the bathroom dead. I'll tell more of this story when I go find her grave, which, by the way, used to be right there beside him. When she died, they put her right there. But the China family wouldn't have that. And I can understand. Why would you put them together? She killed them. Anyway, let me move this camera and I'll get on with the rest of the story. Here is the burial spot for Mrs. China. Hold on just a second. Louisa China. Born in 1864, died 1924. January 11th, that would be 5 days, if my math is correct, after her husband died. Now, the story goes that he locked her out the house, and she had already been sick, and the chill, because, you know, back then they didn't, a chill would kill you. And the chill got her, and she died just 5 days later. It's a sad story, really. It seemed to me like that she had faked severe illness at first, and was acting like she couldn't remember anything. But an attending physician, who might have been a friend of Dr. China, said, no, there's nothing wrong with her. It looks like she's faking. And but anyway, she ended up dying 5 days later herself, and she is buried in the family plot of the DeLorme family. And it seems like there's some kind of connection there. I don't remember if it's family or friends. It may be that Mrs. DeLorme and her were really, really good friends. Again, no notes. I'm just going purely off memory. Anyway, it's a very interesting story that I go into detail. Everything I'm showing you here on this camera right now, I have a video for it that goes into a lot more detail. And if you're interested, just leave a comment below and I will direct you to those videos. Tragic story, this one. This is Officer William Clyde. Mr. Clyde was a Sumter police officer who was killed in 1908, early 1908, like January. The unfortunate thing here, among many unfortunate things, is that his daughter, his 2-year-old daughter, had died in a house fire the month before. His wife died a few years later, I think about 7 years later, and I don't remember what she died from. He was killed. Now, him and another officer went to investigate someone that was a disturbance. No, it was someone that they were looking for anyway. And a tip was given, and so they went to this house, and the guy, the perpetrator, I'm not going to call him a gentleman, I'm not going to say allegedly, the criminal hid under the bed. Mr. Alva went to that bedroom to investigate. He come up with a shotgun and shot Mr. Alva in the stomach. Now, I don't know if you know it or not, but back then and even now, a stomach shot is one of the worst to get hit with, and the hardest to get over. And back then it was pretty much a goner situation. You would die. I think he died early the next morning. The perpetrator took off. It's hard to gather the evidence together, but I think a reward was offered. Eventually he was caught, but then he escaped again. I don't think that justice was ever served on this one. I don't remember that guy's name, and to be honest with you, his name is not worth uttering anyway. Officer William Alva Clyde. Thin blue line. What is this? I didn't do a story of this one. This is a memorial to the Confederate dead of Sumter. Those who died defending this area, their homeland, from northern invaders. Now, I'm not trying to get into politics here, and I'm not going to go far into this. But these people, most of them did not own slaves. I know that because I've done my history. Most of them died just trying to defend their land from invaders from the north. My respects to them. I'm going to wrap it up now. There are several that I missed. There are several from other cemeteries that would have taken too long to get to from where I'm at. Maybe even more interesting stories than these. There's Agnes of Glasgow, about 40 miles from here, who followed a British soldier all the way over here. And then she was 20 years old, and she died when she got here. She got to the spot where she thought he was, and he was not here yet. He came a little bit later. The Revolutionary War soldiers that I've missed, Quakers. There's a tombstone that the guy was practicing for a duel, so he was shooting at that particular stone in the cemetery. Again, that's about 40 miles from here. A young lady who fled the French Revolution as she was royalty, devout Catholic, ended up marrying Thomas Sumter Jr. She went from being royalty to backwoods. Interesting story there. Then there's Thomas Sumter himself, who come up from poverty, from a debtor's prison in Virginia to being one of the richest men in South Carolina. I say that. He was land rich but cash poor. He was constantly have to sell off his land to pay off his debts. There's a whole lot more I missed, but this is a short video, and it's only meant to be a whirlwind tour anyway. Maybe I'll do another whirlwind tour. Really what I need to do is get some information together on a video and do a good complete video for you guys again. I'm hoping to have some information together tomorrow, possibly tomorrow or the next day, have one for that. Anyway, y'all have a good day.